negotiation is not for cutting the profit of the supplier. This misconception has to be removed, and that confidence you have to give to the supplier that I am negotiating because I see some fat out there in the cost, and we will remove that. This is in your benefit, this is in my benefit. So in no way I am going to reduce your profitability. If that confidence level, and if that is easily reciprocated by the supplier, you have a win-win situation in front of you. Hey everybody. So today I'm going to talk about what are the very common myths or mistakes which procurement or purchasing people do, and what we can do in the coming new year in terms of improving upon those and taking them as opportunities which can help us to be better procurement or better purchasing guys. I think one very big myth or misconception across the world is that uh, purchasing or the purchasers primarily do what? They do procurement. That means they procure material. That means they issue purchase orders, they get the material. Uh, Even going one step ahead, some people think purchasing is what? Doing negotiations, getting a better price, reducing cost. I think procurement has to be looked at from a very holistic point of view. It is not only about getting material or doing better negotiation. Work is not only getting a better cost for the company. I think it is more important in terms of understanding the value which you bring on the table for the company. When I talk about value, we are talking about TCO, the total cost of ownership. You can, in terms of monetary terms, you can try to say 1%, 3%, 5% of the cost. But what are the hidden costs? Whether the quality which you are getting from the supplier is adequate, or you are paying non-quality cost much higher than the other supplier is giving to you, in terms of Incoterms, in terms of contractual conditions, in terms of warranty cost. There are so many other things which we can do in terms of bringing more value to the customer. One other misconception, or I would say mistakes which the purchasers do, is to think that we know much better than the supplier. We are an expert. We are much better negotiator. I think that is a mistake. That should be seen as an opportunity for improvement. Why? Because if you think that the other person who is running a company, who is running a business, if he doesn't know about his business, if he doesn't know about his cost, if he is not knowing about what are the expenses, what are the cost levers, then you are highly mistaken. You have to understand that he is an expert in terms of running his company. So you have to prepare well. That is the mantra. That is the mantra. You have to prepare well so that when you interact with the supplier, you know what are his strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, and that will make you a better purchaser, a better negotiator. So never ever think that you are the best negotiator. You can be very good in terms of convincing the supplier, but finding the right opportunities is very important for you. Going forward in the new year, I also feel that one thing which we can really improve upon is on supplier collaboration. I think I personally feel that we have not done enough in terms of supplier collaboration, also in terms of supplier upgradation, upskilling the suppliers, and I think this is something which we did not do earlier. So I consider that as a mistake, but I think this we can work upon. So taking the suppliers at a much early level of interaction, early supplier involvement, taking their skill sets in terms of innovating products, taking their skill sets in terms of getting ideas on QVE, quality value engineering, taking their inputs in terms of how we can really reduce the fat out of the system, how we can economize, how we can really make the products much more economical and much more value driven, can be another aspect, because we as purchasers working for companies, we are primarily making products, but the services or the products which we buy from suppliers, they are the expert in that. So they, if you develop that partnership approach with them, and if you bring them together, I think they are going to really value the relationship also, and they can contribute to that. That will be another mantra of success. One other important thing which I feel we should do in the new year as a area of improvement is be marketeers internally within our company. We have to market ourselves as purchasing people. We have not done that enough so far. Many people don't know what is purchasing. Many people again feel that purchasing is about all those things which I earlier mentioned about negotiation, purchase order issuance and all. We should market ourselves much better. But how we will market ourselves? When you are interacting with your internal stakeholders, primarily with the business teams, you have to understand what are their needs, what are their expectations. Normally what we have seen, there is a big divide in terms of what the business wants versus what we deliver to them. So this divide has to be bridged. How we can bridge that? By interacting with the business teams much more often, understanding what is their need, what is their expectation. Maybe at any given point of time, their expectation is not cost. Maybe it is more about agility. Maybe they want the goods or the services to be available with them in about 1 day's time, or maybe they want deliveries which is frequently 3-4 times in a day. Cost is not important, because the customer to whom they are catering to wants the deliveries very fast. Maybe the cost is 1, 2, 3% higher. They don't care, but that is important in terms of securing the customer. So understanding the business is important. Sometimes having a better quality product is much more important. The customer is very unhappy. There is a lot of warranty issues and all. So the customer is ready to pay because of the brand value a little bit more, but he feels a no nonsense product, and that's where we come into the picture to have better suppliers who can give us that kind of a quality. So doing an internal marketing, understanding the business needs, very important. And I also feel that when you are interacting with the business teams, ask a very logical question to the business teams in terms of what is your customer segmentation. There is always a approach of tailored supply chain. Tailored supply chain comes from segmenting the customers first, and based on the customer, I will provide you the right suppliers. What I mean by that is, there are certain products which are made to order, some products are made to stock. So the customers are different. A customer which is made to order will wait, will have time, because it is as a new specification which he is ordering to you, so he can wait. But which is made to stock, lot of agility is required in terms of frequently changing the schedules here and there. So your inventory has to be adequate enough to do that. So while you ask this question about segmenting your customer base, that gives you an input in terms of tailoring your supply chain accordingly. So that is also very important. One important thing which I think we should all do in the next year is about taking technology as a facilitator. There has always been a fear that technology will take jobs. Technology is something which is not very beneficial in terms of employment, in terms of my own career path. I think that's a misconception. That is a myth that has to be removed. Now we are entering into an area where, into a decade where AI is becoming very popular. And if we don't take AI or technology per se as a facilitator, we would be left behind. It is normally said that AI will not remove jobs. People who do not know AI, they will snatch your jobs. So we have to understand what is AI, what is RPA, what is robotic process automation, what is machine learning. We all have to understand that, and that can come as a very important support for us. For example, contractuals, contracts which we make, they can go through an RPA and understand that, okay, these conditions are very generic in nature and these are very important nature. So the AI support can actually help in terms of telling you which are the contractual clauses which you need to focus upon, and rest basically leave it to the bot or somebody to manage that. So I think taking help of technology is a very important thing going forward. Another important thing which we should do in the next year is to work on sustainability. We are entering into a world where ESG, environmental, social, and governance, they have become very, very important. I have worked with companies outside India where they would not select a supplier who is not ESG compliant. And we are talking about everything which is not only related to environment. The misconception is ESG is talking about environment. It is not only talking about environment. It is talking about governance, for example. It is talking about transparency. It is talking about what kind of processes and systems you have in terms of managing your accounts, your cost books, your transparencies, audit, checks, etc. In terms of social, are you employing child labor, for example, from that matter of the. So there are many things which we can do in terms of upskilling our suppliers and bringing them up to speed on the ESG side. And my experience has been the ESG topic has been not very rightly addressed. MSMEs primarily with whom we deal as our suppliers, they have very less knowledge about ESG, and we need to upskill them. We need to take regular sessions with them in terms of bringing them up to the speed in terms of scope 1, scope 2 emissions, how they can remove that, in terms of safety, for example, what safety practices they have to install at their workplace, which can help in terms of reducing the accidents. So there are different matrices around it which have to be deployed at the supplier place, and once we start working hand in hand with the suppliers, they're also going to respect us. So these are certain things which I feel are very important in terms of taking the next leap in the next decade, and the new year is in front of us. Last thing which I would like to talk about is taking the help of suppliers on innovation. Most of the suppliers are better equipped in terms of managing innovation at their end, and sometimes I have seen that in our company or in your company, the innovation is left to the R&D people only, and they work in silos. Very rarely they interact with the suppliers and take their inputs, but wherever this has been done, I have seen a lot of value which has been generated by bringing the suppliers on board, and they give really worthwhile suggestions in terms of creating a very optimized product which generates much more value. So I think from that perspective, I think I feel these are certain areas where we could really improve ourselves and make purchasing much more professional and much more contributing to the company needs. Last thing, before I end this, I would like to say about negotiations. You know, negotiation is a very beaten down word in the purchasing parlors, and what happens is when we talk about negotiations, we get into the traditional mode of getting the supplier on board and doing a negotiation which could either have a very close link with bargaining also, but even if it is a negotiation well prepared, these negotiations have to be very systematically handled, and most of the negotiations fail because we do not do a very good planning. Pre-planning of the negotiations, understanding what the supplier strengths and weaknesses are, understanding what are my strong points, what kind of volume business I am giving to the supplier, whether I can encash on that. I know all my cost levers, I know the supplier's cost levers, and I can understand where is the fat, and I can challenge the supplier that, okay, you have to remove the fat from there. And very important, negotiation is not for cutting the profit of the supplier. This misconception has to be removed, and that confidence you have to give to the supplier that I am negotiating because I see some fat out there in the cost, and we will remove that. This is in your benefit, this is in my benefit. So in no way I am going to reduce your profitability. If that confidence level and if that is easily reciprocated by the supplier, you have a win-win situation in front.